Morning, everybody. We'll get started just in about 2 minutes, so we have a couple of minutes. But if you could, as you're arriving, it's great to see you all. If you could put your phone on silent and tuck that away as you get situated. Still have a couple of minutes, so you can still chat with your friends. But thanks for being here. And then in just a minute, we'll be back up. Folks at home, this is also our chance to be testing our live stream. And so part of my talking right now is just to make sure that all is working for the live stream for students and families who are tuning in and joining us remotely today. So we will wrap this test up here in a second. Dr. Beck's checking our live stream, and we'll be back with you in a minute or two to get started with today's ceremony.
Good morning and welcome, thank you, to the MYP Certificate Ceremony for our Year 5 MYP students. I'm Mrs. Christina Caragine, MYP Coordinator at Boyce Middle School, where students begin their MYP career in the 5th grade.
What's up, everybody? I am Mr. Bowers. The last time I saw you, you were, I don't know, playing with slime, playing Roblox, probably. I had hair. Now I look like Dr. Wagner, but I'm Andrew Bowers for Friends at Home, and I am the MYP coordinator at Fort Couch, which is year 3 and 4 of the MYP program.
Okay. And most of you know me. I am Mrs. Sousa. I'm the MYP coordinator here at the high school, and I also teach, I think, 5 of the 8 MYP Honors 10 classes this year. So I have lots of you as students as well, which is great. We are so glad that you're here with us. For our remote kiddos who have made it in here, we're really glad that you came in, and we're happy to have you with us. For our remote crew at home, we're thinking about you, and we're glad that you're streaming in with us here as well. We'd like to thank Dr. Wagner, who's the high school principal here, for coming with us today. And I'd like to invite him up here to say a couple of words to you guys as well.
All right. Good morning again, everybody. Students, parents, family members, friends, and distinguished guests who aren't in this room, right, but watching us live stream, but also students who are here, welcome to the 2021 Upper St. Clair High School Middle Years Program Certificate Ceremony. As Mrs. Sousa mentioned, my name's Tim Wagner, and I'm the high school principal, and I'm so honored to be with you. Thank you for taking time midday to be recognized here. Again, it gives me great pleasure to welcome you to an in-person ceremony. I'm grateful that we're able to celebrate in person this year versus last year when we had a virtual ceremony for the MYP. And again, an additional warm welcome for those who are joining us by live stream. Thanks to our stage crew, tech crew, Mr. Freilich, who are bringing our people at home into the theater today. MYP certificate awardees, I congratulate you and your parents. As I welcome you here this afternoon, I'd like to make just 3 brief points that I hope will provide you with an opportunity to reflect on the accomplishment and the achievement that earned you a spot here today. First, it's exciting to think of this as halftime of your high school career. You're exactly 50% of the way through high school, and it's unique to be able to have an opportunity to pause here, sort of like an intermission of high school, to consider what the first half of your high school career was like and what you aspire to accomplish in the 2 years that are on the way. Being reflective is an IB Learner profile So I encourage you to take some time in the days to come to consider this halfway point, the end of 10th grade. Reflect on your progress so far. What have you accomplished as a high school student so far? And then also set some goals for the future. You have your courses lined up for next year. You have some things that you might be involved in. But what are those goals in this second half of high school? Second point, please always remember the importance of international mindedness. As an MYP student, you were consistently asked to think from multiple perspectives. In so doing, you were able to not only come to understand your own beliefs and perspectives more insightfully, but you also were able to understand how others' points of view inform how those people interact in the world. Whether you continue to develop your international mindedness through travel, study abroad, or simply in conversation with friends and neighbors, know that international mindedness is a way of thinking that will serve you well both personally and professionally in all of your future endeavors. That was point 2. Here's the last point I'd like to make. I want to thank you for all of the community service that you've completed over the years since you were Boyce Middle School students. For many of you, since 5th grade, your participation in the MYP has consisted of the requirement of service. But it's my sincere hope that you found a way to serve that's meaningful for you and not just completing a requirement. That long after service is required of you in the years to come in your adult life, that you'll continue in the work of enriching our community and our world through volunteering and serving in ways that add value to other people's lives. Serving others brings with it an influence that reaches farther than we may ever know. 10th graders, I'm really proud of you. Reflecting on this halfway mark, considering international mindedness, and continuing to pursue service are just 3 of the many notable components of your work in the middle years program. Congratulations on this milestone, and again, I welcome you to this morning's ceremony. It's my pleasure, and also I'd like to take an opportunity to thank our 3 coordinators who will guide us through this ceremony, Mrs. Carrageen, Mr. Bowers, and Mrs. Sousa. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Dr. Wagner. Thank you, Dr. Wagner. I'm short. Today's ceremony celebrates the 6 years that you have been part of the International Baccalaureate Middle Years Program.
And as you know, being a part of the MYP is optional in Upper St. Clair. In a lot of schools, it's not that way. In a lot of schools, you go to the school and it is an IB school or it has the MYP, and everybody does it. So I think it's really special that you guys have made the choice to participate in the MYP for the last 6 years. You chose to go above and beyond the traditional Upper St. Clair education, and you made the decision, right, that you wanted your learning to be grounded in these global contexts and these approaches to learning that make the MYP such a great curriculum.
And we know this year has been, it's been hard and it's been different. You guys have faced challenges in a global world. Some of you have, struggled more than others during this time. You've lost family members to COVID. Your academic career has been shifted or changed due to COVID. Some of you have struggled with mental health due to COVID. And it's a scary and isolating time to be in. But the MYP has the finer points in it that can help guide you and have guided you this past year in ways that you might not even have recognized.
Regardless of how COVID has affected you, we hope that you can recognize how the skills you have learned throughout your time in MYP have helped you to make your way through this challenging time. Each of you over the past 6 years has worked to understand the MYP learner profile, and hopefully your greater understanding of yourself as a learner has helped you to face the difficulties of learning in this pandemic.
Additionally, for the last 6 years, you've learned about your various subjects through the global context of the International Baccalaureate program, right? Each of your units, each of the things that you've studied has been sort of grounded in one of those global contexts. You've spent countless hours considering various global perspectives, and I wonder if you really even realize how these skills and this way of thinking has affected you and helped you in this past year as things have been so crazy.
So one of the global contexts that has undoubtedly assisted you in navigating your educational experience this past year has been science and technical innovation. You've been more reliant than ever on technology, and the MYP's focus on technology and innovation has, without a doubt, helped you navigate whether you've been at home, in person, or a blend of both.
Another MYP global context, personal and cultural expression probably helped many of you deal with the stress and the effects of the pandemic. The MYP has asked you for years to consider how you express yourself and encouraged you through various electives to find a means to put yourselves out into the world, whether it be through art, music, dance, technology, or something else. Many of you, especially early on in the pandemic, turned to creative outlets to help overcome the challenges of isolation and uncertainty. And your MYP background would have helped you greatly.
So then the global context of identities and relationships would also have helped you to navigate this past year. Throughout your time in the MYP, you've been learning both about who you are as a person and what relationships you have with both the people around you and then the world around you. For many of us, this pandemic has allowed us to reconsider our relationships and priorities. It's reminded us of what is important. Hopefully in this past year, you've been able to use this way of thinking to really focus on what matters to you the most. What activities did you really miss that help contribute to your identity and who you are as a person? What relationships did you miss or have you missed the most when we were isolated from each other? And now that the world is hopefully returning to a new sense of normal or a little bit more normalcy here, what is important to you? How will you continue to focus on yourself and your relationships as the world opens up and begins pulling you in so many different directions? I think when the pandemic first started, a lot of us thought about, okay, this is a time for us to simplify a little bit. This is a time for us to really think about what matters. And as we start to open up, and being able to do more things, it's an interesting place to think about, all right, what do I want to let back in? What is it, what activities are crucial to who I am as a person? What relationships are, vital to my identity and my sense of self? So as we start to open back up a little bit, maybe think about those things. What have you learned about yourself and what is worth, making time for in your lives?
And then the last one that we wanted to focus on was the global context of orientation in time and space. And for many years, the MYP has asked you to think about how you fit in with the global world around you, but then also in the scope of history itself. And so as we've navigated through this pandemic, you've likely been using this global context to think about your relationship with humans around the world, and then how you play a role in this time. This experience of living in this place at this particular time will shape who you are. And your MYP background will undoubtedly help you to process how this experience has affected you and what you can learn and take away from it. You will have the unique opportunity to look back 20, 30, 40 years from now and explain to people what it was like to go to school in this time. And hopefully, through the MYP, you'll have a much more refined and reflective approach to that.
This is a year to tell the grandkids about, right? All right. And in addition to all of these other skills that the MYP has taught you, through its focus on the learner profile and global context, you entered into the MYP knowing up front that in your 10th grade year this year, you would complete a rigorous and in-depth, independent personal project.
We'd like to share with you some of the exceptional work that this year's MYP students have done in a year that has been challenging and stressful in so many ways.
So in a normal year, let me explain what this would have looked like had we not been living in a pandemic. We would have gathered in the evening, you would have brought your parents with you, we would have set up your projects around the auditorium, and you would have had a chance to walk around and check out the work that your classmates have done. Obviously, COVID restrictions keep us from doing lots of those things, but what I would like to do is invite to the, not stage, but the area in front of the stage, a number of students who are going to share their exceptional personal projects with you. We thank each and every one of these talented individuals for their work not only on the personal projects, but throughout their time in the MYP. After they briefly summarize their projects for you, they'll be recognizing a group of MYP certificate recipients. When your name is called, we're going to ask that you stand up. We'll wait until everybody from that list is standing, and then we'll give a round of applause to that group of MYP students. Would my presenters come right up this way, please? And I'd like to introduce Ashna, who's our first presenter here.
Hi, I'm Ashna, and when deciding on what I wanted to do for my MYP project, I thought about my hobby of baking and paired it with how I like trying new foods. So I created a recipe book with desserts from all around the world. I was originally inspired by wanting to recreate desserts that I get in India, but then decided to expand my focus to desserts from each continent. To do this, I started out by doing research about foods that have some sort of cultural significance or were just popular, and then made a list of recipes I wanted to make. When I actually made these desserts, I modified each recipe to make it my own and substituted ingredients I couldn't get. One of my favorite recipes that I made was a popular Argentinian cookie known as alfajores, which is a shortbread sandwich cookie with caramel filling. Even though I haven't been to Argentina, I was able to experience a part of their culture, which is why I wanted to create a recipe book, so that other people could get a taste of other cultures. Thank you. Now would the following MYP certificate recipients please stand to be recognized? Please hold your applause until the last student's name has been read. Miriam Abdelmasai, Delaney Andrachik, Michael Barbarita, Emily Berry, Mariam Beitar, Troy Belbach, Vanessa Bononis, Sahil Balodia, Sarah Bouillon, Noah Blass, Anna Beleza, Addison Burnett, Maxwell Bywalski, Lainey Caceres, Nitin Chandran, Elizabeth Chorlikliva, Carter Chu, Olivia Cuba, Owen Damon, Londa Zhang, David Dedis, Jasmine Dedeker, John Diedrich, Sri Diora, Maggie Dowds, Alexandra Duda, Devin Ducey, and Matthew Early.
Hi, I'm Emily Berry, and when I was deciding on what I wanted to do for my MYP project, I realized I really wanted to explore the community I lived in, especially the history of it. I did research on different sites right here in the South Hills and found beautiful buildings which have been around for hundreds of years and were very important to the founding of our community, such as Oliver Miller Homestead, Mingo Creek Covered Bridge, Woodville Plantation, and John McMillan's log house. I bet most people have never even heard of these places, much less been to them, which is why for my project, I visited, photographed, and made a travel brochure of the sites with a focus on ways to support them. I really enjoyed being able to visit the historic buildings, talk to the people who work there, and learn how far our community has come over the past years. Still, I was sad to learn about how much the sites needed money to keep them running, which is why I wanted to make a brochure to bring much needed attention to the underfunded places and organizations. Now, would the following MYP certificate recipients please stand to be recognized? Please hold your applause until the last student's name has been read. Hannah Eberly, Colin Ecker, Carson Edkins, Ella Elconi, Jonathan Evans, Javin Fassant, Marcus Fennell, Jillian Fischel, Kara Fisher, Jackson Fitzgerald, Jeremiah Fleming, Kira Fortunato, Baden Friday, Macy Fultonier, Olivia Fulton, Francis Fanero, Maria Fanero, Matthew Gaither, George Garces, Aiden Geisler, Lily Gessel, Peyton Gillespie, George Gold, David Goldberg, Noah Gordley, Ansh Goyle, Evan Grady, Gordon Groninger, Kevin Gaitis, and Marina Jazowski.
Hi everyone. Most of you probably know who I am, but if you don't, I'm Olivia. If you follow me on Instagram, you can probably tell that from what I share that I'm very passionate about environmental issues and conservation. For my project, I decided to raise money through Pennsylvania Parks and Forest Foundation's Year of the Trees program. I raised over $1,000, and with that money, on June 5th, I'll be planting 6 trees, flowering dogwood and redbud, at Raccoon Creek State Park. I'm still looking for some people to help with that, so if you want some volunteer hours or just want to help the environment, please get in touch. Regarding the global context portion of the MYP project, mine tied in with the theme of globalization and sustainability. By planting more trees and supporting environmental conservation agencies, the world becomes a much more sustainable place. Especially in PA, with the massive amount of fracking that takes place, conservation becomes even more important. Hopefully all of you can learn something from this little speech. Make sure to check out the usc.cls Instagram of mine for some more details about my project. Recently, actually through my fundraising, I joined a local conservation group in Upper St. Clair called Upper St. Clair Citizens for Land Stewardship, or USC-CLS. It has been great. I run their Instagram account and joined the group for different cleanup and volunteer opportunities. Now with the following MYP certificate recipients, please stand to be recognized. Please hold your applause until the last student's name has been read. I think I lost it.
It's okay, we got extras. Here you go.
Okay, perfect. William Haberman, Hayden Hare, Ava Halligan, Zachary Hardy, Leah Henning, Gavin Herman, Sarai Hernandez, Ryan Higgs, Anthony Ho, Elle Hobbs, Jackson Howe, Taylor Hunkley, Connor Hyatt, James Ireland, Sia Iyer, Markella John, Peter Janoski, Mara Joyce, Anvita Kalipali, Shivani Kamanini, Julia Kenya, Ava Keating, Grace Kelly, Kyle Kerber, Rania Kethavoth, Pierre Khan, Unshay Kim, Rebecca Kopez, Ty Lagoni, Mahesh Lakshminarayan. Thank you. You can be seated.
Perfect. Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Lily Gessel, if you didn't know. I'm going to keep this pretty short and sweet. So my MYP project, I named it Princess Purpose, and I worked on it with Reagan McGregor. And so what we did, we basically went around. We dressed up as princesses. I was Cinderella, Reagan was Belle, and we wanted to visit the little girls of our community, lifting up their spirits and just bringing joy to the community, because this year's been pretty hard. So we went around, we visited like 20-ish families with a bunch of little girls. They were super excited. It was really adorable. And instead of asking for money, when we visited them, we asked for canned goods. So we ended up raising about 370 pounds of canned goods, and we donated it to SHIM. Yeah, that's my project, Princess Purpose. So now, let me read the names of the MYP certificate recipients. Please stand to be recognized, and please hold your applause until the last student's name has been called. Will Lane, Cool Lang, Mary Laporte, Monsi Lathia, Alex Lesh, Brady Lasac, Jason Liu, Braden Lucas, Owen Mandler, Audie Marcos, Philip Markovitz, Cody Marn, John Marsh, Maxwell McCollum, Carter McClinton-Como, Anna McGilligan, Reagan McGregor, Jack McNarma, Thomas McQuillan, Johnny McShane, Braden McGonnell, Jose Mendez, Jack Miller, Quentin Miller, Donna Mosqueda, Nikki Mosqueda, Nikhil Misra, Nandi Maital, Kylie Mosler, and Keshav Narishima. Thank you. Here's Marina Mikowski.
Hi everyone, I'm Marin Dukowski, and for my MYP project, I raised money for the McGee Women's Hospital Patient Care Fund. My inspiration for this project was my mom. In October of 2020, my mom, Christina, was diagnosed with breast cancer. I knew I wanted to show support to her and also give back to the people who are going through the same thing that my mom is. I found the perfect way to do so through this project. I personally designed and sold t-shirts that say, Team Christina, overcome breast cancer with faith, hope, and love. I found a local vendor to help me make the shirts and advertise the sale through social media. I ended up selling about 400 shirts, and I was able to raise over $5,000 for the McGee Women's Hospital Patient Care Fund. The Care Fund is money that goes towards helping cancer patients with expenses if they cannot afford them, such as housing, transportation, and other needs, so that they can just focus on getting better. In addition to the money raised, I was able to show support for my mom and show her that she always has a team behind her during her illness and every day. Now, with the following MYP certificate recipients, please stand to be recognized. Please hold your applause until the last student's name has been read. Javier Nahara Escribano, Patrick Nowak, Alexander Operson, Priyanka Palaker, John Palios, Isha Pandey, Sarah Paracha, Alexander Petkov, Patrick Pinichan, Andrew Pop, Ava Priest, Maya Karamanova, Arzo Romani, Mariah Rainier, Srinidhi Ragnapathy, Kevin Resch, Monserrati, Ty Reamer, Nate Rising, Sarah Robert, Sydney Razzo, Colin Ruffner, Benjamin Rush, Evan Sarkit, Ashvita Saxena, John Shearer, Wolfram Schmidt, Derek Schuster, Yishai Seelig, and Ryder Shaver.
Hello, I'm Alex Lesh. For my IB project, I created an organization called Homes for Toys. Inspired by my own family's Christmas toy donation and the COVID-19 pandemic, the purpose of the organization was to give toys to children in need. To start, I created a website where people could tell me what they wanted to donate. I would then collect the toys privately or through several collection bins in the academic lobby. I was able to collect all types of stuffed animals, houses, figurines, puzzles, and board games. After I collected the toys, I reached out to a foster care facility that would be willing to accept said toys. When they came to my house, unfortunately, they were only able to accept the board games and puzzles. The toys that were left over are going to a group of people that helped 56 families around the South Hills last Christmas. Looking to the future, I plan to continue the organization and continue to help children in need. Now, with the following MYP certificate recipients, please stand to be recognized. Please hold your applause until the last student's name has been read. Ipsita Singh, Zachary Spatz, Timothy Spear, Chowdith Shriram, Neha Shriram, Michael Stolder, Caleb States, Nicholas Sekernick, John Tacos, Philip Tanner, Emily Teklinski, Gregory Timmons, Lucas Tranquilli, Elisa Tucker, Benjamin Tucker, Yoshna Venkataraman, Haidong Vu, Noah Wagner, John Walsh, Daniel Wang, Drake Wangler, Benjamin Wasson, Cameron Weber, Ryan Wells, Garrett White, Christian Wazinski, Andrew Zhu, Landon York, Daniel Young, Abigail Zedeker, Henry Zhang, Matt V. Zukowski, Nicholas Zunick, and Natalie Zunick. Congratulations.
Can we have one final round of applause for our student presenters? Excellent job.
And one more round of applause for all of you, all of our certificate recipients this year.
And thank you to Mr. Beck and Mr. Zielinski for joining us today as well. So students, your dedication to the middle years program does not go unnoticed. As we wrap up today's celebration, we remind you that while your time in the MYP has come to a close, the lessons you've learned and the person you've become will be with you for the rest of your life. Have a great rest of the school year and a wonderful summer.
All right. And at this point, that concludes our live stream. So whoever's in charge of that, thank you for filming. Thank you to our whole crew that got us live this morning. We appreciate it. Should we just tell the top logistics? Okay, so logistically, my friends, if you are remote, if you were